is a tempo deck? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to quit doing that. Anyways, what is a tempo deck? Well, I would say that Gruel Infect, as I play it, is a tempo deck. Oh my gosh, here it comes. It's a storm deck. It's a little bit. It's Infect. It's aggro. A little bit. Yeah. But I say, no. It is a tempo deck. And what is a tempo deck? And why is it called a tempo deck? Why would a deck have anything to do with a tempo? We thought that was a right? But that's not just what a tempo is. In Magic the Gathering, a tempo deck is a deck that, as we're playing our opponent, in a way we control them. So some decks are fast tempo. Say like, if you're playing like an aggro weenie deck, right? Where you're quickly getting the board state big. Like if you're playing against like a straight to the face burn, somebody that's trying to play like a mid-range deck, and you're playing white weenies, you can really jam them up, so to speak, because basically you're going to create a board state where they have to react to it rather than focus on what they're doing. And that's what we seek to do here with this. So, taking, like, we'll just use this hand as an example. Oh, wow, look at that land. This is just shuffled up from last night. But anyways, we'll talk about a tempo deck. So, in a tempo deck, say everything needs to be dealt with. So, on our turn, we'll play something, right? So, we'll play our Glistener Elf on our turn. So, what makes a tempo deck a tempo deck? Our opponent's going to be immediately, it's back to you. So, we're setting the pace of the game. So, a tempo deck, we will set the pace of the game. So with Glistener Elf turn 1, we're going to set the pace of the game. And how will we do that? Because say our opponent has their own turn 2 plan, okay? Say they have something in their pocket and they're like, hey, I just got to deal with this Glistener Elf. So we tap 2 and we play 2 Might of Old Crosas, all right? And then we're going to swing in for 9. Infect on turn 2. So this forces our opponent into a state where they're like, basically have to do something here. So as long as they have a mana, they're going to have to use it. I would say they don't have to use it, but it would be very advantageous of them to use it because this is bad for them. So a tempo deck is going to, like in music, set the tone of the game. So this deck, it's not a control deck at all, because we're not so much interacting with our opponent's game pieces. And this is a tempo deck because it controls the pace of our opponent's play via them having to react to our board state. And just like a lot of questions I get about this deck, which I have 10 questions I picked out, and maybe I'll do more, that I've been sent to the email at lizardsofthetoast@yahoo.com that says, this deck loses. And I will admit, like, the one video I've done of this deck so far, it lost, I want to say, 3 out of 4 games. And, it was against a Boros aggro / burn. But honestly, this deck does very well. And a tempo deck like this is very good in the metagame that currently exists in Modern, simply because it's going to force our opponent always to be on their toes. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Certainly, we'll play our land. So this is going to force our opponent to always be on their toes. So we tap, we play Venerated Rot Priest. So our opponent is going to see Venerated Rot Priest. We're going to pass the turn. Opponent will drop a land. There'll have to be something done. They're probably going to play a small creature, maybe a rock. Maybe somebody will crack a bauble and peek at the top of our library. All right. So, let's see. tap. Copper line, of course. Tap that. We'll play Abundant Harvest. And I think we'll say non-land. Okay. All right, nice. So, let's tap one, and we'll go ahead and we'll play our other Rot Priest. How about them apples? And we'll pass the turn. So now we have 2 Rot Priests on the board. Our opponent is sweating, I'm sure. Pass this back to us. So this is, yeah, not necessarily what one likes to see. However, what I would do in this situation, I'll play the Ink Moth. And they're going to see that there's an Ink Moth on the board. So they know that there's going to be a flyer in my bag of tricks after this turn. Because many people don't realize, if I was to say I played Ink Moth right here, tap that, and did that would be an Ink Moth with Summoning Sickness, okay? So, we don't want that. But, anyways, back to what we were doing here. I do apologize. I know I'm trying to explain what a tempo deck is, because that was part of the questions I had. And it was from somebody that I had played at an LGS, and they said, when you were talking to me, you kept calling your deck a tempo deck, and not to be rude, but I didn't think it was. Because it doesn't, it's not necessarily a tempo, it doesn't have to be a, it doesn't have to be super fast for the deck. This is a medium tempo, but again, with that Rot Priest out like that, we are truly in a place where, yeah, we could play a Wild Canter, we'll do that, we'll gut shot one of our Rot Priests, so there'll be 2 infect counters. So we pass to our opponent. And now our opponent has these Rot Priests. And they're going to probably try to remove our Rot Priests. So this is a beautiful thing. They're going to try to remove our Rot Priests. And our Rot Priests don't even matter at this point. They have 2 poison counters on them. So let's say they remove one of our Rot Priests. Oh no. Oh no. So bad. So sad. Pass the turn back to us. And what do we do on our turn? Ooh, we draw Muta. Alright, so again, we're gonna, I guarantee this is what will happen, and this is funny, but we will tap 2, and they have 3 poison counters because they zapped our Rot Priest, so we're gonna tap 2, and I bet they're gonna instant speed remove this Rot Priest. Oh no! But what do? I'm sorry to say, we tap 2, yes, tap 2, play the Ink Moth. And I bet they don't have a removal here. I bet they don't. So we're going to scale up Ink Moth. We're going to Mutagenic Growth. And we're going to send it home. And that is how the tempo of this deck works. So is every deck a tempo deck? It isn't. No. Because we're going to do another video. We're going to talk about mid-range decks and stacks decks. And we're not necessarily speaking of Modern particularly, but also Commander or any format you're playing in, whether it be Pioneer, Modern, Commander. I can't speak for that Dan. I don't think things like this would apply to that. But here's your definition. A tempo deck is a deck that plays at a certain pace. So we built this deck, just like this Rot Priest. Like when I say turn 2 to turn 4 is the evil place where if somebody's going to die from poison, they're going to die in those turns. So the tempo of this deck is turn 2 to turn 5. Turn 2 to turn 5 is where, like, basically its tempo is fast because by turn 2, we have to have our infect or poison creature. And we're going to be in a board state being set up where our opponent is immediately put on their toes. And we are making them play at our pace. So we play something with infect and they see the infect. Next turn, turn 2, we give them 7 infect damage and play a Rot Priest. And on their turn, rather than do what they're supposed to do, they're thinking 3 more infect, I'm done. I got to keep mana up. But should I take out the Rot Priest or should I take out the infect creature? So that is a tempo deck. And like I said, some people have their own definitions of these. just like my own definition of, say, like something like storm. Um, I like in modern, um, even like the mechanic storm. I use two terms for it because I think of my Selvala deck as a storm. Like the Selvala, they call the Selvala a lot of times Bro Storm because it storms the board with your deck. So there's one definition, but the other definition is a deck that runs heavier with the storm mechanic. Not just with infect, but using things like grape shot and that storm to get 10 storm count damage early on. Boom, then double it up. So that would be like a storm deck in that sense. And so too, like a tempo deck, somebody could say like, hey, my burn deck is a tempo deck. And can a burn deck be a tempo deck? Yeah. But to me, a tempo deck is specifically something that when we start playing, so we have a fast thing going on. We're going to play our land. We're going to play a Venerated Rot Priest. We're going to pass turn. We're going to be going so quickly. We're going to play Copperline Gorge. They're going to try to do something to our Rot Priest. We're going to instant speed Blossoming Defense the Rot Priest, say. That's going to get them a poison counter. And on the second main phase, we'll tap, play another Rot Priest. And yeah, I generally don't even attack with my Rot Priest. It's detrimental. I need to start attacking. If I have another Rot Priest available, I probably should start attacking more with them just to get that one toxic. But anyways, we're going to go on and make a few videos, but that's a tempo deck in my opinion. And I think a lot of people agree with me. A lot of, input and stuff. But just food for thought. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I am getting a new thing for us to look at. And I think you guys are going to love it. So, I think somebody may end up with this. So somebody that likes this playmat in the comments, go ahead and you guys pipe in and tell me what colors you play, talk about your decks, whatever. Somebody will end up with this playmat. If you want to get a hold of me through the lizardsofthetoast@yahoo.com, I try to check it weekly. lizardsofthetoast@yahoo.com. It's all one word together. Lizards of the Toast.